Hey, welcome to another edition of Influence Today with Chet Hart and Terry Lyles. Today, I think we'll focus on really what influence is. We've been talking about that a lot. What influences you, the environment, the people around you, the news, the food, everything. But influence isn't always positive. That's what we're talking about today. Some people on a list of influential people are divisive, harmful, and sometimes don't get our respect, but they're influential. Influence equals impact, not virtue. So let's talk about some influential people today. Terry, welcome aboard to our show about influential people who influenced you and who influenced me.
Yeah, thanks, Chet. No, I think it's fascinating that we were just talking in the pre-show about who influenced you and I both, and I mean we could both have a long list of people because there is no neutral influence. We're either positive or negative. I think there's a lot of people think that they have no influence, but I don't think that's psychologically possible. I think when we show up, there's influence. It's either positive or negative. And
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily have to be
especially.
good or
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, it's
Yes.
positive or negative. So
Right.
I think that's a really fascinating thing that I try to focus on in coaching and training as you do, is there is no neutral influence. You showed up, something happened.
Exactly. Exactly. Let me go down a list of influential
Okay.
people that the internet gave me today. As I go down the list, Elon Musk comes up because of the electric car and what he did there. Tim Cook comes up for Apple. Pope Francis comes up
Hmm.
as he steered the Catholic Church through a very important time and also with some of the changes that took place. Angela Merkel, she came up. Bill Gates, Donald Trump. Who else came here? The leader in China came up also. So there's some of the people that
Yeah.
have caused influence on our planet in the last year. Let me ask you a question. If you were looking back, who influenced you?
I would say, and I thought about this shortly ago and really have thought about there's been a lot of people like you can say that influenced your life. But I think my number one influence would be my parents because they taught me how to live in a civil world within reason, and to make good choices and to remember our names, because every time we go on public, we're representing our family because my last name is Lyles, so I represent everybody that has a last name Lyles, whether I know them or not. So I was that was preached to me from a young child. So I would say first off, it'd be my mom and my dad, which didn't really have educations. I mean, they grew up as farmers and but they knew life, they knew gravity. And I would say the second one, probably as big, if not right next to them, would be my special needs son who passed 3 years ago
Hmm.
as special needs and didn't speak and walk, diapered, fed as an infant, quadriplegic. He's had, outside of Jesus himself, th- he was a major impact in my life because he taught me that you don't have to say a word to have influence. He never spoke. You
Exactly.
you don't
Yeah.
have to do anything
Right.
to have influence. Somebody pushed him up into a room and locked his wheelchair down, and people would come to him and talk to him. So I think that was really impactful for me for almost 40 years now. Just thinking back, his influence on my life, especially, was
Hmm.
you don't have to say anything, you don't have to do anything, you just show up, and there's influence. Is it positive or is it negative?
I see it with the grandkids when they're
Yeah.
trying to copy things, you know. One thing that I observe is people who control influence. Some today are on this platform on our phones. It's social media, it's media companies. They just are there pushing constantly. I mean, there's a lot of TikTok media. After a while, I don't know what to believe because there's so many. Hey, this is the food you should eat. This is what your vacuums that work. This is three things to get a better sale. I mean, constant stuff that's being pounded at you all the time.
Right.
And I would look at the people who influenced me. If I go back, the very first person, my parents did not go to college, and they were always amazed at what I was doing because they lived in a very conservative world. They came from, they were, my mother came over on the boat and was born here from Italy, so we had our Italian influence, and my father was from England, so we had that influence also. So the very first person who made an impact on my life and really directed my career was Larry King, because I worked
Yes.
for him and he's the one that suggested where I should go to college. I was going to a different college at the time, and he said he would help me get into Emerson College. After that, I got a job in New York City, and the president of that company, which Blair Radio at the time, was a guy named John Bowden. He had a direct influence on me on how to prepare my life, talk to business people. I was dealing with CEOs of major companies, ABC, NBC, CBS, and he helped me out. And the guy who helped me buy my first radio station was a guy named W. Clement Stone. And he was a big influence. I mean, his partner who died was a guy named Napoleon Hill, who wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. So
Sure.
I always say I'm one or two or three, what do you call it, ways
Degrees of
from,
separation.
yeah, degrees of separation from Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. So I've been around some very, very powerful people. And most of the people that I wanted to meet in my career in the radio business, I met.
Yeah.
So I've been very, very lucky because all I wanted to do was how do I get better? How do I get better? And by the way, they do influence you. It's impossible not to be influenced by them.
Yeah. And I think, you said some really interesting things. That, I had a coaching call this morning and he was talking to someone about this kind of similar thing, like how did you get to where you are? And when you really stop and it's sobering, you stop and think about all the people that we have contacts with in
Hmm.
our life of decades of people. And there's certain people that pop up that you go, that person in my career, that person in racing, like a Roger Penske, a Richard Petty, from the football world, of coaching and working. I think of, Reggie White. We published a book at the same time with the same publisher. He's now passed on Gary Carter, a Hall of Famer in baseball. I mean, you
Hmm.
start going through this list and you sit there and you'll sit there for hours and go, wow, like you throw one pebble in the water and the ripples just go everywhere. And I think the thing I tried to focus on and still do, and I know you do as well, I know you very well, is that our influence reverberates. You could show up somewhere, never even meet somebody, but they heard something you said, or they heard you on the radio, or they heard me on the radio or TV, or whatever the case might be. And they feel like they know you.
Yes.
You
Yep.
impacted their life, but you don't even know what kind of influence you had, positively or negatively, and me too. That's why it's so important to be self-aware of everywhere we show up, we're influencing somebody somewhere, some way, and just to be cognizant of where that was what my mom and dad taught me. Just know when you go out this door, you represent us. You're influencing others on your name.
Even sports people influence us and brands. I mean, look at Nike, how it's influenced us.
Sure.
Look at Apple, how it influenced us. McDonald's. I mean,
Yeah.
it's amazing how I could not be hungry and go buy a McDonald's and smell the food and go, all of a sudden I'm hungry because of
Well,
the
that's it.
influence that takes place in that environment.
Right. Yeah, and I think as we raise, our families, our children, grandchildren, our spouses, significant others, even pets. I mean, come on. We have some pet squirrels that live in the back of our house, and they come up every day and want us to feed them, and we do. We feed them
Hmm.
nuts, but they're like family. We don't even know them. They don't come in the house. We don't. We go outside, but we don't invite them in. You know what I'm saying? It's just really interesting that even a squirrel is influenced by our back door because they know there's sustenance there. How many people are calling you, Chet, or calling me that says, I know you've got something to feed me. I need your influence in my life. To me, that is coaching 101. People come to you because we don't give people talent. We give them skill, which is the discipline put around talent to become your best you, whoever your influencer is. And I just want to be that person.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that platforms can also help with influence? For instance, whether you like him or not, Trump is on television every single day. He's in the news every single day. I'm
Mhm.
trying to go back and remember what other president was in the news every single day. I don't recall that at all. I mean, they're in
Yeah.
the news for different things they're doing, but he's on television every day. He's holding press conferences every day. The news covers him every single day. There's something he's attached to that
Right.
is talked about. You know, I call it the Trump show. It's going on every
Every day.
single day. So he's can you be the influence just by the medium that you're in?
Yeah, I think you can. Whether you're coaching a young football team, I was able to challenge a young baseball team this week from a good friend of mine that is in a coaching situation. He and I both, and he's got his son is now grown and working, and I
Hmm.
coached him during high school and then into college specifically in baseball, and now he's gone on to a career. And so I'm up there talking on the baseball field with 10-year-old boys, and it was really cool because the influence of just being out there on a field again with these 10-year-old boys and their
Hmm.
coaches, smelling the grass, looking at the field. I played baseball my whole life, and football. Baseball was probably my favorite. And it just brought back so many memories of how grass smells on a baseball field that influenced me. And I'm challenging these little kids, these little 10-year-olds. I've got like 5 minutes or less because their attention span's like a gnat. So I had to, so I'm like going at them. Like, what do we do? Come on, you got to, like, so I took them through two closed eye exercises. One, you're playing defense. What happens when the ball's hit? Close your eyes, ready? Ball's hit. And they got their eyes closed and they're acting out their positions. They don't even realize they're doing it. And I've seen this happen so many times with fighter pilots. You just go into this performance mode. You're not just doing it with your arms to your side. They literally act it out. And then I did the same thing with you're on the plate now and you're going at bat. And here comes the ball. Ball's in slow motion. It's a beach ball. It's very colorful. It's not a baseball. You're slowing the game down. So my whole message was you slow down to go faster to perform at your best. And I left them with one word, vamos. We use that in tennis. Come on, let's go. It's let's go,
Yeah, yeah.
literally in Italian. Your family's Italian. So it's like, vamos. And they're screaming in the dugout to each other, vamos, during the game. I stayed the whole game. They lost, but they had fun. So at 10 years old, that's all you're trying to do is have some fun.
That's awesome. But I do think one of the things I talked about in the last episode about what I learned with prostate cancer is consistency. And I also think to influence, you need to be consistent. First of
Yes.
all, in the message, in your behavior, and expectations. You just need to be consistent. And also, I think there's a caring influence too. What do you care about? I mean, generally interest in caring about something, because I think it comes out there. You know, there's core levels of influence that I've studied in the past. And, one is that you do things for people and people do things for you. People like to give. That is really powerful
Mhm.
influence. Another one is the authority. I mean, when everyone's looking for a leader and everyone's looking for the right answer, so the influence of a person who's in authority happens all the time.
Mhm.
Consistency is a big one, and people like people who like them or like themselves. And I talk about
Right.
that in sales that the people will buy from you if they like you. And the other thing about influence is scarcity. People move when they have a sense of urgency or uniqueness. That is an influence on people. By the way, there's only 5 tickets left. By the way, this is the last of
Absolutely.
it. People will move, and there's a lot of influence in that.
It's
So,
sales 101. I mean, it was, from the art of the deal to Think and Grow Rich to, I don't know, you could think of all kinds, of influential books. I know you've read hundreds of books. I have, Colin's book, Good to Great. I mean, what makes some better than others and some excellent and others very good, but not good enough to be excellent. And you read off a list of people, and, everybody knows the name Elon Musk today, but 20 years ago, did people know who Elon Musk was? And that he didn't invent Tesla. It was somebody else's idea, but they influenced him to pick it up and do something with it. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't have to create electricity to run the power grid in your city. You just
mhm.
need to be able to control the power grid that influences us to have power in our homes that we can do this meeting online with power because I lost my power yesterday in a storm. So it's to your point, it's the control, the power, the authority. But the Navy SEAL code training is you want to see someone's character, give them power, and then they can create authority if they control the power correctly and don't abuse, but lead with purpose.
Yeah. You know, before we started the podcast, you had talked about the influence of Charlie Kirk.
Yes.
Now, he must, after what happened, he got a lot more influence because I
Sure.
didn't know who he was. I mean, when I heard about it, I go, who is he? And a lot of people knew who he was.
Oh yeah,
And you said you did too. And he did have influence,
absolutely.
but he was tightly focused on, you say, college campuses, correct?
That's young people. Yeah, I mean, that was his whole outreach was young people, high school, going to college. I've listened to his podcast. I knew what he was doing on campuses. Brilliant guy. Literally dropped out of college first year, would read over 100 books a year. It's proclaimed. Like he was a
Mhm.
ferocious learner and reader. And, but I think you don't, I, if we could talk to him right now, you probably would say, can you imagine you are more influential in your death than you are your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a good example of that. And there's been a lot of people in history, from popes to pastors to presidents to artwork. I mean, who bought the famous artwork throughout the centuries until they died? I mean, somebody did, but it was like, okay, that's a cool painting. But some of the most expensive paintings in the world gained value because they had passed and people didn't appreciate them when they were alive. I like to believe I have influence in my life, but if I live my life correctly and I do what God has asked me to do, which is impact others, I hope to have more influence after my life than I did during my life because that is that pebble effect in the water. The rippling effect impacts everybody we met and made contact with, our family, our friends, our colleagues, clients. And it's real. Whether you like it or not, it's real. They're either going to remember you for something awesome or they're going to remember you for something really horrific. And unfortunately, it goes both ways, depending on what your life ends up being.
Well, let's end it with this because you don't get influence. I don't think you just get it, you earn it. And the
Yes.
things that you do will help you earn influence. And some of the ways to earn influence is by giving. People
Yes.
respond in kind. Another one is that you're an expert in something and you're good at it, so they look at you as authority. The other one is social proof because your people are like testimonials. He's good, you should see him. And I think that's influence also. Consistency by doing things you're going to say and follow through on it. And also, people like you and you like them. There's a big influence in that when you are looking for somebody and you go, hey, I really like this person. And the last one I think is really important is scarcity. I mean, that's a big one to drive influence. You know,
Right.
the window's closing in a few minutes. So I would say that you just don't get it. You really have to earn it. You have to work at it. So this has been a great conversation about influence, and I go back to the point of the people who influenced me. These people stayed on me and made sure that I did a good job, and especially when someone gives you $1 million for your first radio station, that was a big influence.
Yeah, and you have to be accountable for that,
Yeah,
and then there's a responsibility that goes with that. And I think one of the most, I'll end with that I think one of the biggest areas of influence is how we manage things and lead people, because you don't manage people, you manage things, spreadsheets, computer systems, ROIs, but we lead people. I don't want to be managed. You don't want to be managed.
right.
People break up in marriages and have bad relationships because they try to manage each other to be like them. That's not the way it goes. And I think the greatest example for me has been parenting, that your real influence is viewed in the eyes of your children and your grandchildren. And if they think you're good, a lot of the rest of the stuff we think we're good at, to me, really doesn't matter. If my son respects me and he thinks that I'm okay, and I'm there to help him, um, that's the greatest influence I'll have, because it's the circular effect. It's who's closest in your circle that you impact every day. It's a spouse, significant other, a child, possibly a grandchild, pets.
Hmm. Hmm.
So and then it goes out. So it's like a bullseye, a second ring, and a third ring. So I think as leaders, we spend a lot of time thinking about the second and the third ring. Like, who can I impact? I can impact millions of people today, and this influence and our podcasts. But when it really comes down to it, who we have the most influence with are those people that live with us. That's scary and exciting all at the same time. So I'll leave everybody with that quandary. Go ask the people closest to you how you influence them.
Thanks, Terry. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
you're welcome.
And thanks for listening to Influence Today with Chet Tart, Terry Lyles. And if you like the show, please share it with other people. Please hit the like button. And if you want to get in touch with Terry, you can definitely do it by what? One email, right?
Just really simple website, email terrylyles.com, terrylyles.com. I got a new book I just skinned. It's behind me. If you're seeing this on video, if you're seeing on audio, it's called You Got Stress. So I think it's a pretty interesting book. It was the one last year was Becoming Invaluable. It's still out there. We're still doing it. But this was something I've worked on for quite a while, and I've already started on another one. So I won't release what the
Man,
name of
you
that is
just have
yet.
time to write these books.
I sleep, but then, you know, I wake up with things in me and I have to process them. So I guess it's self-therapy is weird. That's probably a whole nother session we should have.
We'll do that. We'll do that next time.
Yeah,
We'll,
that's what. Yeah, so you can reach me at terrylyles.com, and I know with you, Chet, they can reach you as well.
yes, CTART at Vistage, VISTAGE, Florida.com. Look forward to our next meeting, and thanks for listening to Influence Today.